Hello everyone. I trust that many of you recognize this plant. This is a staghorn fern, commonly known as staghorn fern. If you want it to be a little fancier, this is called a Platycerium. If you want it to be more specific, this is a Platycerium veitchii. As you know, that every plant has two names. One is a common name, and the other one is a gibberish botanical Latin name. The common name is always easier because it is plain English and it describes what it looks like. They look like antlers. That's why they're called staghorn. For many years, I thought these botanical Latin names are just things that you're supposed to memorize. Over the years, as I was getting to know more and more plants, I couldn't help but noticing that the same roots, same suffixes kept coming up across many very different plants. And eventually, I realized that these names are not just random. One plant name has so many different clues in it. It could be explorers, could be history, could be places, could be the famous collector. Then I realized that these botanical Latin names are not meant to be memorized. They're meant to be read. Okay, so what is Platycerium veitchii? To find out more about these plants, these scientific names, I recommend this website called Q here. And you can just put in the scientific name of a plant. It does not take common names. You click on it. You will get some pictures, okay, as you can see. And back to taxonomy. This plant is from Australia, specifically native to Queensland. The next thing that I click into is classification. At the classification section, you probably remember when we were kids, we learned the animal classification. The genus of this plant is Platycerium, and the species specifically is veitchii. Q is good at giving us the name, where it's from, but it doesn't tell us more about the plant itself. And this is when I introduce you to the second website, IPNI. And here you can put in the same name, Platycerium veitchii. There are two results returned. The first one is Platycerium bifurcatum, which is a very common Platycerium, way more common than veitchii. Click on veitchii. In here, you will see that this plant was first published in 1906. This is the publication. Click on it. Another really good website is BHL, the Biodiversity Heritage Library, and it gives you the page scan, which is on page 497 of that publication, where veitchii was mentioned. I found this really, really neat. It just gives you a whole provenance of this plant. On Britannica, you can find this article specifically called Why Do Scientific Names Have Two Parts? And this system is called Binomial Nomenclature. It is designed by Carl Linnaeus. He was a Swedish botanist. All right, so let's come back to Platycerium veitchii. Platycerium is the genus, and veitchii is the species. Of course, as Latin goes, we all know that these words have other meanings, and you can separate the word into maybe two parts or even three parts. So Platycerium, platy means broad, flat, cerium means horn. Platycerium together means broad horn. When you see a double I at the very end of that word, you should immediately know that the word goes before I is probably a person. And the double I means belongs to. So veitchii means that this plant is discovered or belongs to veitchii. This person's name is veitchii. If you were to do a little bit more research, you will find out that There was a very famous veitchii family nursery. It wasn't specifically about one person, but it was the veitchii family, or it was discovered by the veitchii family, stuff like that. Okay, so here are some other suffixes and roots. Ensis, it means from. Madagascariensis means it's from Madagascar. Costarricensis from Costa Rica. Chinensis from China. Brasiliensis from Brazil. Color, alba, white. Rubra, red. Aurea, gold. Viridis, green. Leaf shapes, cordata, hearted shape. Rotundifolia, round leaves. Longifolia, long leaves. Lanceolata, spear-shaped. How fun. Another plant that a lot of you are familiar with is philodendron. Philodendron as a word can also be taken into two parts. The first part is philo, means love, loving. And the second part is dendron, means tree. So philodendron as a word means it's a tree lover or it is tree loving. What this means is that all the philodendron plants love climbing on trees. Kyle Linnaeus never imagined that centuries later that a bunch of plant nerds are still using his naming system to identify plants on Instagram or making YouTube videos. But the idea still works. Every name tells a story, tells a piece of history, and we just forgot how to read them.